up, Internet, and welcome back to On the Sofa Live. If you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Thankfully, there aren't as many candidates to talk about in the Greater Manchester Mayoral Election. So, but it's nevertheless an important election, because it will change. It could potentially change the way Greater Manchester is governed. And in my opinion, it's a race between Labour, Reform and the Green Party. But let's talk about all the candidates anyway. This is from Who Can I Vote For? Mayor of Greater Manchester Combined Authority by-election. This election will be held on Thursday, the 30th of July 2026. This by-election was called because the elected member was elected member of the UK Parliament and cannot hold both positions. And he is now, of course, the Prime Minister. About this election, you will have 2 votes and can choose from 7 candidates in the Greater Manchester Mayoral Election. How to vote. This election uses supplementary vote. Mark an X in the first column for your first choice. Mark an X in the second column for your second choice. You do not have to mark a second choice. Read the instructions at the top of your ballot paper carefully. For more information, visit the Electoral Commission's website or ask an official at your polling station. Okay, so let's look at the candidates. The first candidate listed is Sean Niam Astley from Reform UK. Sean Niam Astley's policies. Statement to voters. I am delighted to be chosen as Reform UK's candidate for Mayor Greater Manchester. I am determined to improve communities and the lives of working people. Over the years, we have all seen our towns and areas across Greater Manchester decline, with high streets left unattended, unfunded and unloved. They need to be placed front and centre again. Politics needs real people with real life experience, people like me. So let's see if we can look at her Facebook page. There she is. Sean Astley for Mayor. And we've got some footage here, so let's have a look.
Top 3 priorities. Yes, that Reform's top 3 priorities should be next one. I did send these on.
You did. I did. I think, crikey, the top of the list has got to be getting control of immigration in this country. Surely. That is... it's central to everything. It's central to everything, isn't it? Housing, healthcare, education. It's impacting absolutely everything, and the astronomical levels. And it's not just being, the Conservatives under Labour, all as bad as each other. So I think Nigel is the only politician, Reform is the only party that I trust to face this problem and deal with it. And
so Nigel. Obviously, she has to say that Nigel is the only politician that she trusts. But really? Can Nigel Farage really be trusted with all the, with all the controversy surrounding him at the moment? With the £5 million he received from crypto billionaire Christopher Harborne, which is being investigated at the moment. Well, actually, it's not being investigated at the moment because he's not an MP at the moment. But that investigation will resume, as you know, if he becomes MP again. But it's also being investigated by the crime agency, the National Crime Agency. That's still ongoing. They think there could be money laundering involved as well. So can Nigel Farage be trusted? I wonder. I'll let you guys decide.
That would be number one. I think the economy, again, reform as a self-employed person, as somebody that's run my own business for 30 years, somebody that's seen high streets decline, having watched the Labour government again in the last 2 years of how it's just been an onslaught of taxes and ridiculous policies attacking business. I think that reform will get a grip of the economy by celebrating success again, actually encouraging businesses to grow and giving them the tools to do that instead of slapping them down all the time and taxing them out of the ability to actually trade.
Yes, that reforms top three.
Okay.
Should be next.
Oops. Let's pause that. Okay, so there you have it. You have it straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. Sean Astley. And she's a good speaker, I'll give her that. But I don't think I agree with her policies. Well, of course I don't. I'm a member of the Green Party. So let's have a look at some of the other, well, all of the other candidates. And Geraldine Coggins, let's take a look at her. Geraldine Coggins from the Green Party, the Green Party candidate. Statement to voters. People are feeling abandoned by Labour and want real change to deliver affordable homes, thriving local communities and a healthier environment. They are tired of being told to settle for less. This campaign will have a positive vision for the future of Greater Manchester and show that Green leadership can deliver real change. So we can go to her Instagram. Let's take a look at one of her pinned reels. It'd help if I turned up the volume.
For this region could deliver so much more for us all and for generations yet to come. On the 30th of July, I'm the woman to replace Labour and stop reform. I'm Geraldine Coggins, your Green candidate for Mayor of Greater Manchester. I came from Dublin, raised my children here, and I've spent the last 8 years fighting Tory and Labour austerity as a councillor and local Green leader. My family's history runs deep through this city region. Theirs were the calloused hands and dust-filled lungs of Bolton quarrymen and Manchester rail workers who grafted so this region could thrive. Their legacies are the bricks and roads that surround us. A hard day's work used to mean food, warmth and a roof over your head, not just more wealth for those at the very top. We can't afford more Labour careerists who've betrayed us. That is why I'm running to be your mayor. I'll stop your tax money going to private developers and deliver genuinely affordable homes. I won't rest until meaningful jobs have been created and our transport networks work for everyone who's been left behind. And finally, I'll bring back high streets that we can be proud of, reopening community spaces and prioritising local business. I've made Greater Manchester my home. When we take time to listen to what our region is telling us, the answers are all around us. On the 30th of July, we have two choices. More of the same with Labour or onwards with the Greens. Our history isn't one of division, nor one of standing still. It's one of people building something better together.
Oh, she comes across as a really nice person, actually. I would vote for her if I lived in Greater Manchester, but then I suppose I am biased. Geraldine Coggins, the Green Party candidate. So moving on, let's look at Bev Craig for Labour and the Cooperative Party. There she is. Bev Craig's policies, statement to voters. Greater Manchester is a special place. From the Industrial Revolution, the trade union and cooperative movements, and the suffragettes, this place has always fought for progress. This place changed my life, and I owe it everything. It gave me opportunities I could never have imagined, and I've spent my career trying to give something back. While Westminster left places like ours behind, Greater Manchester has taken control of our own future, and we've started building our own success. Working alongside former Mayor Andy Burnham, we have achieved so much over the bringing buses back under public control, creating jobs, attracting investment, and pushing Greater Manchester forward as a real powerhouse of the Northwest. But for too many people who work hard and do the right thing, life still feels too hard and unaffordable. As Mayor, I will apply a simple test. Will it make life better? I will work every day for us to make sure everyone shares in the success Greater Manchester is building, making sure there's more money in people's pockets, pride in every town centre with a new High Streets Fund, a new generation of council and affordable homes, and an expanded bee network that freezes fares and that works for all of us. Bev Craig online. Let's look at her Facebook page. There she is, Bev Craig for Greater Manchester Mayor. I'll tackle the cost of living to put more money in your pockets. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this one and see what she has to say.
This is my plan for high streets in 30 seconds. I'll invest in high streets in every borough, funded by city centre growth. I'll have a new fix-it fund to do up neglected alleyways, grotty streets and give areas a real lift. I'll back good local high street shops with business rates holidays and reopen empty units. I'll take action against eyesores, bad landlords and dodgy businesses. I will support hospitality, pubs and make days out cheaper with the GM culture pass. So what are you waiting for? No need to shop around. Join my campaign to breathe life into high streets in every borough.
Okay, that sounds good. I think I can get aboard with those policies. And she seems like a really nice person, actually. I've got to be honest. So, yeah, there you have it, Bev Craig for Labour. It's just a shame that she's hampered by the Labour Party, by the Labour Party in Westminster, and all the genocide enabling that they've been up to over the last couple of years, and not to mention the bad policies that they've put in place that have harmed, the vulnerable people in society, that are, and that have harmed, the trans community as well. But we'll see how she does. Next up is Phil Eckersley for the Conservative and Union Party. There he is. Phil Eckersley's policies. Statement to voters. I am honoured to have been selected. Greater Manchester is my home, and it's a region with enormous potential, but too often decisions are made with a focus on Manchester city centre, with the outer boroughs getting left behind. And again, there's a link to his Facebook page. Oh, that's a nice photo. Very nice. But let's see what he's got to offer Greater Manchester. Let's look at this first one here.
So, Andy Burnham is cancelling investment intended to revive struggling high streets and improve children's playgrounds, leaving towns like Leigh and communities all across Greater Manchester behind. So, at the same time, he's making another headline promise to end rough sleeping. We've heard that promise before. Burnham pledged to end rough sleeping in Greater Manchester by 2020. 6 years after that deadline, 197 people recorded sleeping rough, up from 154 the year before, more than double the figure from 2021. As was so often the case when he was mayor, Andy is announcing major spending commitments without properly explaining where the money is coming from or what is being cut to pay for them. Residents deserve to know where the money goes. As mayor, I will open the books, publish the receipts, and protect investment in our towns. I will also publish a clear homelessness plan focused on prevention, stable housing, treatment, and employment support, with targets that residents can actually track. Greater Manchester needs honest costing, proper accountability and delivery, not another headline promise. So.
Okay. Fair enough. He seems like a nice enough bloke, but unfortunately hampered by the reputation of the Conservative Party more broadly, and also hampered by their 14 years of failure in office. And I personally don't think he has a chance in this election. As I said, I think the race is between the Green Party, the Labour Party, and Reform. But we'll see how he does. Next up, Marcus Jonathan Farmer, Independent. Marcus Jonathan Farmer's policies. Statement to voters. Please see www.alp33.com for the full manifesto. Restoring the middle ground is the main policy. Okay. So let's look at that page. Okay. Bit of a boring website. ALP 33. Introduction. This is a podcast manifesto, which is the first of its kind in the UK. Baraka and I have come together for a month to explore what's happening in the city from two different perspectives and standpoints. Our aim is to be civilized, inquisitive, and create at the same time as trying to win an election. The 5-point plan for the Marcus Farmer independent candidacy is follows. 1. Young people first. What does that mean? Are you going to go into any more details? Young people, okay, fine, young people first. 2. SMEs, understanding, help and investment for small and medium-sized business. Again, well, I guess to be fair, I guess these are just bullet points. I guess the details are explained further the further you go into the website. 3. Investment in forgotten towns. 4. Access to choice. What? I mean, I know these are just bullet points, but you could explain it a little bit more. I mean, that's meaningless. Access to choice. What does that mean? 5. Equality of opportunity. If you employ that 5-point plan, all the policies for Greater Manchester should fall out of the sky. Should they? Says who? What the fuck? ALP 33 is a new way of looking at things, and it's come to a simple conclusion. If the ideology you would choose to live under doesn't exist, invent it. Okay. And there's a link to the podcasts. Oh, and okay, so they've clearly got a YouTube channel. I'm not going to watch that whole video. It could go on for a long time. We could be here all day. So I'll just read this, this blurb for podcast 1. When running for a post like Mayor of Manchester, you need help. You also need to control your own narrative and be open-minded to all alternative viewpoints. That's why you need your own media channel. Working with Baraka is a pleasure because he is curious, imaginative, creative, and above all, aspirational. He is also extremely polite in telling you where you are going wrong. Please like and subscribe to his channel if you enjoy the content. So I guess you've got to watch his podcast on YouTube to find out more about his policies. I don't think we're going to find out any more about his policies from this website alone. Which is not very helpful, in my opinion. And I've got a feeling he'll probably lose his deposit. But who knows, he might surprise us all. Next, there's Richard Martin Kilpatrick from the Liberal Democrats. There he is. Richard Martin Kilpatrick's policies. Statement to voters. Richard Kilpatrick has been selected as the Liberal Democrat candidate for Greater Manchester in the upcoming mayoral election to replace Andy Burnham. Richard has pledged to tackle the cost of living crisis, improve public services, and deliver desperately needed housing for the region. Richard is deeply embedded in the Greater Manchester community, having lived and worked in the area for over 10 years, as well as serving as councillor in Disbury West since 2018, where he currently lives. Formerly in teaching, Richard has more recently spent time campaigning for closer ties between the UK and EU to reverse the huge damage caused by Brexit. He has also tirelessly campaigned for unpaid carers and investment in social care, having been a carer for his own mum who had Alzheimer's. Richard has an outstanding track record of delivery, including opening emergency spaces for victims of flooding and holding the council accountable and how they spend public money. The Liberal Democrats have recently made gains across the Greater Manchester region, including taking control of Stockport Council in May's local election. Richard and the Liberal Democrats have called for an immediate package to help households across Greater Manchester who are struggling with the cost of living crisis through an essential energy guarantee slashing the amount people pay for energy bills. Richard also wants to see more investment in social care, more affordable public transport, and to improve community policing. He goes on. The Labour Party have been focused on infighting and Westminster squabbling, whilst local people have been utterly squeezed by the cost of living crisis and underfunded public services. Richard will stand up against both Labour's failure to deliver for our community, but also against Reform and Nigel Farage's divisive rhetoric, which doesn't represent the region's brilliant diverse community. He is a dedicated public servant who passionately believes that people across Greater Manchester deserve so much better than the current status quo, and he has pledged to restore the community's faith by truly focused on what matters to people here. So let's look at his Facebook page. Okay. There doesn't seem to be a lot here. It's a photograph of him drinking a pint of Guinness. Let's see if we can find any reels. Okay. Let's take a look at this one.
This was an assessment of what would happen if we had tariffs with the EU, but we don't.
But I think
this is out of date data.
What we're doing here is going back to the same arguments that we had during the referendum debate, and actually that's just not where this country is right now. The impact that this is having on everyday people, because often when we talk about these statistics, and I'm just as guilty of this as you are, on these sort of shows we will talk to death about the percentages and GDP and how much billions of pounds this may have cost for the economy or may not have. And actually, behind every one of those stats, there is a redundancy. There is a company going into administration, especially in the UK manufacturing sector. The businesses that we speak to on a regular basis, the reports that we produce, which comes from the voice of British businesses and British manufacturers, they're telling us that this is real, that these stats have real impact on British people. And it's estimated at about £2,000 is the average cost to the average Briton. That's the reality that we have here. And I, for one, welcome that Rachel Reeves has been at least honest with the British people that there is an impact of Brexit and our decision to leave the European Union on the UK economy. The big question, and it's not about going back 10 years and debating what we debated then. The big question is, what are they willing to do practically to address the impact of leaving the customs union and the single market?
This was an assessment of...
Okay, so there was his appearance on GB News. And again, he seems like a nice bloke. But unfortunately, because of the reputation of the Liberal Democrats in Westminster, because people still remember their time in coalition with the Tories and how they voted alongside the Tories for their cruel austerity measures, that could have an impact on his chances. But we'll see. We'll see. And finally, Marlon Scott West for Restore Britain. Statement to voters. West is one of the most prominent campaigners against the rape gangs in the country. He spent more than 2 years forcing the government to establish a national rape gang inquiry, meeting repeatedly with senior politicians, including Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips, and publicly accusing Labour of breaking its promises to victims and families when they stalled. Marlon's own daughter was groomed and raped. He understands the evil and wants to use his experience to ensure that others avoid the same fate. Marlon played a central role in our independent rape gang inquiry, working alongside Sammy Woodhouse to gather evidence and support survivors throughout the process. The inquiry's report, published this month, is the most comprehensive and honest independent examination of rape gang abuse ever conducted in Britain. Marlon is born and bred in Greater Manchester and has worked in the NHS across the region for over 30 years. He is standing on a broader platform for the city he has spent his life in. He will push to attract genuine business investment, cut wasteful public spending, including the GMCA's own bloated administration, protect greenfield land from developers, and overhaul a transport network that has failed commuters for years. Greater Manchester is not a backdrop for Marlon. It is where his family was failed. Scarlett was groomed by gangs operating across the region while Andy Burnham ran the city. Marlon spent years fighting the institutions that looked the other way, and is now asking Greater Manchester voters for the chance to run those same institutions. A good man who wants a better future for his home. Let's take a look at his Facebook page. And let's hear what he has to say.
Again, it's common knowledge, if you live in Greater Manchester, that a lot of these gangs are recruiting young girls to be groomed. And they were young. That will stop. Absolutely will stop. Again, it's common knowledge, if you live in Greater Manchester.
I thought that was going to be a bit longer than that. And he seems like a nice enough bloke, at least on the surface. And I think he's genuinely coming from a good place. But, there he is with his family. But unfortunately, Restore Britain have a bad reputation. So I think that will hamper his chances in this election. Because as I've said, I think this election is between, the main race is between Labour, the Green Party, and Reform. But I also think that Restore, the Restore Britain candidate, Marlon West, will probably take votes away from Reform as well. But we'll see. So there you have it, all the candidates for the Greater Manchester Mayoral Election. And I'll be interested to know, if you live in the Greater Manchester region, if you live in Greater Manchester, who you'll be voting for, or if you who you would vote for if you did live in Greater Manchester. Let me know in the comments. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. And please do me a favour and like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and do leave a comment because that would really help me out with the algorithm. Okay, bye for now.